This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Mike Sedita.
Hello out there in podcast world. My name is Mike Sedita. Welcome to the Good Neighbor Podcast. We are fortunate to have on episode 23, Michael Wholey of Wholey Media. Michael, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you, Mike?
I'm doing pretty good now that the rain has stopped a little bit, but I guess it's coming back later today at some point. So we'll get into your line of work and talk a little bit about what you do and how you dodge raindrops and fly around and avoid the bad weather as much as possible. Quickly, a little bit of information about the Good Neighbor Podcast, though. What we do, how we do it, it's basically we set up the Good Neighbor Podcast back in 2020 during COVID, when everybody was social distancing and we couldn't get out into, a lot of face-to-face stuff with people. And the whole idea behind the podcast was so that businesses and philanthropic groups and charities and things like that could get their message out to the community in a safe, socially distant way. And then over time, over the past, 3 years or so, the Good Neighbor Podcast has expanded nationwide. We're all over the country in a bunch of different markets. And I'm fortunate enough to be the person here in this market. I'm just like you. I'm a small business owner in the area, and the whole purpose of this is just two business owners having a conversation about their business and talking a little bit about what they do and how they pass their time. So with that being said, tell us a little bit about your business and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So the business is Wholey Media. Just hit the 3-year mark. 50% of our business is working with real estate agents and brokers. We're kind of one-stop shop for real estate agents and brokers, offering photos, videos, drone, floor plans, 3D Matterport, and any other marketing and branding materials they need. But in addition to that, here in the last year, we've really branched out into kind of like a full-service media company. So we do family portraits, we do headshots, we do personal branding, content creation for social media. Really, if you're kind of in the need as a business owner and you need marketing, branding, and anything media, we can probably help you out. So I've gone from a one-man band to I got a team of 3 or 4, and we're ripping and running every day, doing all types of fun stuff.
That's awesome, man. So 3-year mark, congratulations. So
Thank you.
How recently have you started bringing folks on? Has it been the past 6 months, past year? I mean, you've grown, bringing 3 or 4 people on. That's, quadrupling your size.
Last summer, I brought on a second real estate photographer. And then October, we got a brick and mortar location up in Hudson. And then in April, we relocated that to Dunedin. So kind of a lot has happened here since last summer and in the short here since October, where we've taken on a lot more and been doing a lot more things.
So let me ask you this. I mean, from Hudson to Dunedin, you're talking about different real estate brackets there as far as, space and things like that. Yeah. What was the reason for the move? It was just closer for people, or did you relocate and it was just closer for you?
I've been in Pinellas the whole time. I've been in St. Pete, Dunedin, Clearwater. I bought a business that was offering video services that had a walk in the door, 600 square foot studio in Hudson. And okay. It came with some equipment and some things. So we gave it a run up there. Right. We do well up in Pasco in regards to real estate because we do Pasco, Pinellas, Hillsborough, and we'll even do a little bit of Manatee. Like we'll go. But in regards to the studio stuff, I found that we're kind of pretty heavy Pinellas based. So it made sense as far as the brick and mortar of where people were coming in for headshots or video content, green screen stuff for us to be in Pinellas.
And whereabouts in Dunedin is the studio? Is it right on Main Street, or are you a little off the beaten path? How far are you from, say, like, I know Christie's is right over there. The living room is right along Main Street. Whereabouts are you?
Just had lunch in downtown Dunedin. It's a mile away, so I'm on 1022 Main Street. So if you're familiar with Dunedin, you're heading towards downtown. We're in a professional complex called Heritage Oaks on the right. There's about 12 other businesses in here, some green townhouses. If you're familiar with Clear Sky Draft House, we're just before.
I was just going to say right by Clear Sky.
Yep.
Nice. That's a great area. It's bustling too. You get a lot of people coming through there. It's good visibility to be in that spot. I lived in Pinellas County for a while, and Dunedin was probably my favorite spot out of all the little places. Pinellas is super crowded, but Dunedin always seemed like it was kind of like tucked away. And even though it got busy, it's a cool little hip town. Tell us a little bit about your story. Like, were you always an artsy guy? Was it always do you paint? Do you do sculptures? Do you do clay work? I mean, what is your artistic background, or was it just kind of you had an eye in the camera and it appealed to you? What got you into it?
I just got done explaining this. I had lunch with a wedding photographer that's thinking about coming onto the team. And he's like, man, you've done quite a few things for a 42-year-old guy. So things go full circle in life. I'm originally from the Boston area. I went to a school called Emerson College that is a big film, broadcast journalism, radio school. I majored in visual arts and worked in production for 2 years. But I also played college basketball, and I'm a big sports guy. So I took a little veer off, and I coached men's and women's professional and college basketball for 15 years. So 7 cities in 12 years, San Antonio, Washington, D.C., Atlanta, Memphis. My last coaching job was on the women's side at Georgia Tech, and I did 27 states in 9 countries in 1 year. And I said, I really love this, but I don't know what day of the week it is. When you're in a coaching world, there's 3 days of the week. It's either a game day, a practice day, or an off day. So I got out with the thought of, let me figure some things out. And I landed down in Florida and ended up taking a position at a private Catholic school where I taught video production and coached basketball.
Nice. Kind of combining the worlds.
Yes. So did that for 5 years, and kind of towards the tail end of it, started getting the entrepreneurial spirit and was messing around with this as kind of like a little side gig hobby. And then we got this we got this thing called COVID, and it hits you. And my high school was talking about students being remote, but teachers reporting back to the building. And I'm in South Florida and in the heart of where everything's going down. I'm like, that doesn't sound like a great idea to go to a building with 190 staff members every day. So pulled the trigger, probably a year or two than I was ready for. But, like any business owner, when are you really ready to do it? And we've just been building it ever since.
It's funny. It's one of the recurring themes because I talk to business owners every single day between my podcast, between the publications that I work with, and some of the media and marketing that I do. And every entrepreneur kind of says the same thing. Hey, it's great. I get to make my own hours. But the bad part is those hours are usually like the crack of dawn until the minute I put my head on the pillow, because I wear so many different hats, whether that's staffing like you're doing or doing actual jobs like you're doing, and then accounting and marketing and all these other things. So the entrepreneurial spirit in people is amazing. And that's one of the big reasons why we like to do this, because this now gives those small businesses an outlet for them to be able to get their business out there. I think my biggest question about your background and your story is, how often did you eat at the Varsity? Did you go to, because you were right there at Georgia Tech, did you go across 75, 85, the connector, and grab yourself, what do you have? What do you have? Did you get one of those?
So I lived in Atlantic Station, and I really made a point to try to be a short commute to work, so I wouldn't be doing what the rest of everybody in Atlanta was doing, where they were cursing. And so there was a lot of people that went for the cost of living and lived a little far out. And I was like, I already work enough. I don't need to add to work with the commute. Varsity was mainly a spot for recruiting visits. It was kind of that staple that the moms or the dads had heard, and we take them over there before a football game. Would do some of the chicken waffle spots. I mean, that's when you're recruiting, most of your recruiting trips are planned around food. So I would just save the spots that might cost a little bit more or the touristy spots and just work them into the itinerary.
So, okay, so it's the girls' basketball team. So the moms and the daughters go to the Waffle House, to the varsity, and the dads go up the street to the Cheetah. Is that kind of how you balance that time out?
You always had to get a feel for the family. There were a couple.
For sure. I bet you did. You had to work that out.
A lot of times those activities were going on without me. That was here's our daughter or here's our son. Yeah. And we work a lot and we flew in and you're paying for a nice hotel. So we're normally running around going to gyms and basketball tournaments. So tell us what meetings we have to be at and we're going to go have some fun.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's a nice thing. Atlanta, there's a lot of cool stuff to do down there. I guess they have like Ponce Market and stuff. I don't know how long ago you've been there, but there's some cool stuff that you could set people up to do, even just downtown. I mean, maybe not doing the underground at night, but like the World of Coca-Cola and all that stuff. When I lived there, that was always the touristy thing. Every person that came in to visit me is like, we got to go to the World of Coca-Cola and to the underground. So there's a lot of cool stuff to do there. So now you're here, you're in Tampa. Let me ask you, you're in Dunedin, not quite Tampa, but Pinellas.
Yep.
In your business today, what is the bread and butter? Is it headshots? Is it drones? Is it doing 3D walkthroughs with realtors? Which is the one that's keeping the lights on in that studio?
So the bread and butter is real estate because that's how this started. We'll do 20 homes this week and we'll do a $200,000 mobile home. And tomorrow I'll do a $3.5 million house all day. So we're doing everything in between. But real estate's a volume business. So it's the bread and butter, but we're kind of like that medium priced real estate photographer. We're not the highest, we're not the cheapest. So bread and butter is real estate. We're kind of one-stop shop. We have 30 to 40 really loyal agents and brokers. We're pretty close to like the maximum of what we can take on. I'm working on the staffing so that we can take
staff.
But that's probably bread and butter one. And then bread and butter two is what we do is kind of like content creation for small businesses. So tomorrow I'll do the big house. On Thursday, I'll do a half-day shoot at a spa. Brand new business, building out their website, don't have any photos, don't have any videos.
Right. Building up that content.
Yes. So we get pretty creative when it comes to that. We do half-day shoots, full-day shoots, and I have several clients that are just on monthly retainers. We're just constantly building the content. And
so let me ask you a question. On the real estate side of it, have you noticed, I mean, you've been doing this for 3 years and that's the bread and butter. Have you noticed like a lot of realtors as the market has slowed, I mean, how has that impacted your day to day as far as, I mean, I know you're at capacity and you've added staff and all that stuff, but have you noticed a dip as far as the number of homes you're shooting? And then my follow-up question to that is, how long does it take you? You go in and do this $3.5 million home tomorrow and you take, 200 pictures, I'm assuming, or more. How long does it take you to turn that around for that agent to get it in their hands? So that agents that are listening to this might say, hey, listen, this is a good turnaround time, et cetera.
Yeah. The market has obviously changed. I think the nice part about how I built this business and who I'm working with is a majority of my real estate clients did the same thing in COVID that they're doing now. So when COVID was happening and you could sell a house in 4 hours if it was on the market, there were certain agents that were not doing professional photography and not doing video. And those agents are struggling because that was their marketing and branding. The ones that were like, hey, I can probably sell this without your services, but it's about how I represent myself. And I want to be able to take this package and show it to the next person that's thinking they're listing home. Those are typically the clients that have found me. So
and
our
those
volume,
are smart realtors.
Our volume is down, but our packages are up. So maybe that real estate agent that was doing photos and drone, now they're adding video or they're adding floor plans. Those same agents are also putting a little bit more behind their personal marketing. So we're going and doing a branding photo shoot down by the pier, and they're putting some ads in some lifestyle magazines. So less houses, more services has kind of been what's been going on with us. As far as turnaround time, I think one of the reasons we're getting so much business and doing so well, we turn photos the next day. So if you take photos with us on Tuesday, you get them Wednesday. And then anything else, videos, floor plans, Matterport, 2 days. So we're pretty quick turnaround.
Okay, so now let me ask you this then. When having a staff in place, you go out and do the shoot. Mm-hmm. Do you have somebody like a graphics person that's coming back and actually vetting all those pictures, or are you doing everything? You're going and doing the shoot all day, $3.5 million home, coming home, grabbing something to eat, throwing it down your throat and getting some energy, and then going right back into editing on the computer. I mean, is that kind of it right now?
It's a little bit why I'm trying to build out a staff, because if you have 3 shoots on Monday and 3 shoots on Tuesday, and you're
24-hour turnaround time.
Yeah, and you're editing everything yourself, sleep is not happening very much.
Yeah.
So
many hands make light work. That's kind of the whole principle behind all that. That's a hefty schedule you got there.
Yeah. So we got some people in place that can either help me with the editing, or maybe if I have a heavy shooting day, then the next day they can pick up some shoots so that I can do the editing. But we try as much as we can to keep everything in-house.
Gotcha.
I'm a bit of a perfectionist and a control freak, and we've looked at some different things to outsourcing and different ways to do it. I try to find photographers that also know how to edit themselves so that we can just kind of keep it mainstreamed. And
your blood pressure goes up like this every time you outsource something. Is that kind of what I'm picking up on it?
It's just never the life of the business owner, right? No matter whether you outsource it or no matter your staff member, like, you're always going to care more. You're always going to stay up 1 hour later. I mean, I'm the one that if I edit a video, I'm like, did you see how that cut at that beat? And nobody else notices, but it's just,
it's your name on the banner, man. So if, when everything goes out the door, it's a reflection of you, whether you did it or you delegated it. So you got to make sure you got either people in place that you trust, that it's not driving your blood pressure up. I mean, one of the most valuable commodities I have is an assistant and a booking agent that helps me with the podcast and what we do in our publications that just, make my
Claire.
life.
How are you, Claire?
Yeah, Claire and Maggie and Sandy and a whole team full of people. So it's, it just makes things easier so I can do the things that I enjoy doing, like talking to business owners and going through some of the communities I work in. So when you're not doing this, when you're not spending a day at a $2 million home and then doing all the editing at night, what do you do to let off steam? What do you go over to the Fenway? I mean, what do you do over in Dunedin to pass the time?
So I live on Countryside Golf Course in Clearwater, and I have
right where it is.
I have either a good or a bad golfing habit. So yesterday was a holiday, so that allowed me to play golf Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So we played.
You have a problem.
We played. I don't do that often, but it was a good weekend for that. So Saturday, I'm the ringleader of a group called the Breakfast Balls. So we tee off every Saturday at 8:28. I got a pretty solid crew there that we're going to have our Saturday game. But I left them this weekend and I went up your way. I was at Juliet Falls up in Dunellen. It's about 2 hours north of Pinellas, even north of Spring Hill. So they got a gorgeous course there. We played in a big game. I got a buddy, Kurt Rhodes, owns a title company. He's always got crazy golf games. So I went up there with his buddy. And then Saturday, it was great. I mean, there's very few courses that I've found in Florida that have hills and undulation and sideway lies. So I was looking for that. I've driven by it before. I never played it. So we had a good time. I finished 4th out of 36, and they paid out 3 of
good for you.
So I basically kissed my sister. Good for me. Or sometimes you just rather finish last if you're going to watch the top 3 payout. But
but still,
had some friends in town.
Good.
Yeah. Had some friends in town. We played Countryside Saturday, and had some buddies that don't get many days off that Monday wanted to play on the holiday. So we played Countryside Sunday and Monday, and back to work today.
It's funny, when I lived in Atlanta, I had a buddy I played softball with who actually managed a golf course called Echelon. And you're talking about topography and landscape. I mean, there was a hole. It was like, I think it was like 13 or 14 where you were on top of a hill and it was just down. Like it was like shooting it down a mountain, like Better Off Dead, like just falling off a cliff. And it was just, I mean, the courses were just crazy up there because you're in all these hills. You know, I think the only very few places, once you get a little further north, like I'm in Wesley Chapel, but a little further north, like Zephyr Hills and Dade City, there's some topography, but not a lot. I mean, in my communities that I work in, Hunter's Green has a nice golf course. There's one out in Heritage Isles that's pretty decent, but they're all kind of flat. They're all kind of flat stuff. There's not a lot of crazy things to work around and up and downs and stuff like that, which, you know, if you're a golfer.
I've played 4 that have it. Copperhead, Lake Javita, this weekend at Juliet Falls, and Southern Hills. Those are the 4 that I've experienced that got some stuff to them. Everything else is
that's nice, man. Having that outlet, golf was always just very stressful for me. It wasn't a place where I went to relieve stress. It was mainly what I did in golf. Like my specialty in golf, I did have a specialty in Atlanta. My specialty was denting sidings or brick on people's houses. Like I was a pro at that. Like if that ever becomes an Olympic event, I will definitely medal because I have a baseball swing. So I slice everything into houses and windows and pools and all sorts of stuff. So it was always very interesting getting around to golfing. You know, a normal couple hour round was like a marathon with me.
Oh, it's hit or miss. I've always dabbled with golf. All of my coaching jobs came with very nice memberships at country clubs that I wish I took more advantage of when I was coaching. So things come full circle. So when I moved over to Pinellas, I was an 18, and last month I entered the single digit. I got down to a 9.8, and I bragged to my buddies that I was a single digit, and then I proceeded to shoot 97, 95, 93, and they asked me how that was going for me. So
after you gave them all those strokes that you had to give them because now you're registered they're like, we'll take the strokes.
They were very happy to bet me at a 9, and nobody was really signing up for that at a 14.
So as we kind of wind this up a little bit, you know, we've talked about some of your, how you got into business and what you do for fun, and your journey is incredible. What is the one thing that people listening to this, whether it's, you know, residents in the communities we go to, whether it's, you know, realtors and other business owners, what's the one thing you want them to take away from this?
I think the thing that I'm enjoying the most as a business owner, and it doesn't necessarily have to be just for real estate or just for small business owners. It's kind of across the board. I enjoy producing quality media, quality content for small business owners that feel like they're getting an ROI on it, because I'm a small business owner. So I'm making those same decisions of where to put my time, what networking groups to go to, how to spend my money. And I take a lot of pride in knowing that people are doing that same thing and choosing us. So if you're kind of in that ballpark, you're a real estate agent, you're a broker, you're a small business owner, and you feel like you want to either go from doing 0 to something, or you feel like you're doing something and you want to step it up, I'd love to have a conversation and kind of show some examples of what we're doing for people. I mean, social media right now, it's a tough game. Everybody wants to be active on it. Everybody wants to figure out what the secret sauce is. I see a lot of social media companies soliciting how many views they're going to get, how many hits. And I'm like, what good does 10,000 views go on some video if the phone's not ringing? You want three calls that you wouldn't have got. You want 2 new clients. Like we have a landscaping company based out of Seminole, and their numbers are crazy. In the last 6 months, since January 1st, he's spent $6,000 between filming, video, drone photography, ground photography, and then managing his social media accounts. We had a meeting last week that has produced him $75,000 worth of business. I obviously can't guarantee that. Yeah, I can't guarantee that for anyone, but we sat down, we mapped the plan, we talked about their services. He had some conversations where either there were some photography or videography companies that were doing the content but weren't doing the management, some management companies that weren't going to go fly a drone at a work site. And I was one of the few that can kind of do it all in the house. I learned about his business. I learned about him, and he wins and I win. I enjoy seeing him succeed. He's liking the money. And then he's coming back to me and going, all right, what's the next step? We weren't doing anything. Now we're doing something and it's working. And so he'll be in the studio next week and we'll be doing some educational videos on landscaping. So I love that part.
It's funny is that, I've owned an ad agency for over a decade, for about 13 years, and explaining to business owners the difference, everybody hears, sales and marketing as like they're synonymous with one another, and they're really not. And in fact, it should be reversed. It should be marketing and sales, because the role of marketing is to help generate sales, yes, but it's really about getting eyeballs on things and helping the people to convert. Now, how you do that with different calls to action and engagement and content and all that other stuff is vital to getting to that number. But having to spend so much time, and the funny thing is, it's not just small business owners. I mean, I've done marketing for brands like Mechanics Wear Gloves, Welch's Fruit Snacks, Newell Rubbermaid, large brands that have these marketing people that are highly educated and done all this stuff. And from a media buying perspective and a content creation perspective, a lot of times those people just kind of go through the motions. At least in a lot of the people I've dealt with, it's been kind of that way. So small business owners aren't unique to needing that kind of guidance from experts, from media experts. And I run into it, every single day, talking to people about the importance of a good call to action, the importance of using content marketing, and why it's such a differentiator. I mean, using this podcast as the perfect example. If I have 10 videographers that run billboards on 19 going up and down Pinellas County, and they have a gorgeous picture up there of a camera, of a model, whatever it is, that's great. But someone hearing you talk about what you do and identifying with your service and your brand and how you provide customer service, it's such a drastic differentiator. And the other thing that's hard for a lot of people to understand is everybody always thinks bigger is better. And in some cases, yeah, that is true. But I could run, I give you an example. One of my clients, attorney, runs billboards on 275, and probably 150,000 people see it every couple of days that go past it. Yeah. 80% of those people, A, don't need those services, B, can't afford those. I mean, so even though it's getting to a lot of people, it's getting to the right people and targeting them the right way. I mean, doing this, creating that content, creating that proper brand message is vitally important to someone's success. So it's the marketing that generates the sales. It's not the other way around. And that's, I too feel the same way. Like I said, I've worked with those large brands. And for me, having skin in the game with a small business owner and watching his business grow is way more exciting for me than it was getting even a huge budget from a brand that has the money and just kind of running it and kind of waiting for the thing to unfold. So that's great. Being in it with the business owner really is a big component to, the continued coalition between small businesses working together. Michael, we're going to put this in the podcast when we promote it. We'll get the information so we have it in there. But what is the best way if someone needs your services tomorrow? What's the best way for them to get you?
I mean, we're everywhere. We're in the social media business. So cell phone, email, website, social media, any of them work. So all of our handles are at Wholey Media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. Email is wholeymedia@gmail.com. And they can call me directly. My cell phone number is 339-793-0774.
All right, guys, you heard it here. Episode 23, Good Neighbor Podcast. Michael Wholey, Wholey Media. All of his contact information will be in the post. Michael, thank you so much for being on with us. You have an amazing day.
I enjoyed it, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Passcode. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnppasco.com. That's gnppasco.com or call 813-922-3610.